Ladies and gentlemen, as we journey through this tapestry of existence, we find ourselves woven into the lives of others. Each connection we form is a thread, adding color and texture to our experience. Yet, not every thread deserves the vibrancy of our investment. Today, let us reflect on the delicate art of discerning whom to embrace and whom to let slip away into the shadows. In the grand dance of life, relationships are an exchange of energy. They are mirrors reflecting our own essence. And when we invest in the wrong people, we risk tarnishing that reflection. Picture, if you will, a river flowing, alive and nourishing. Now imagine placing boulders in that river. It slows, it stagnates. So too, can our spirit become burdened when we tie ourselves to those who do not resonate with our true selves? We are drawn to others through the innate desire for connection, for belonging. But beware, for the illusion of belonging can lead us down paths fraught with disillusionment. We may find ourselves altering our essence, suppressing our truths, all for the sake of fitting into a mold that was never meant for us. In this pursuit, we often forget that the greatest belonging comes from within. Listen closely to your intuition, that soft whisper of wisdom that resides deep in your core. It knows the truth of those we surround ourselves with. When a connection feels heavy, when it dims your light rather than ignites it, heed that feeling. For it is a reminder that not all relationships are meant to flourish. Some are transient, serving their purpose only for a season. Self-worth is the foundation upon which we build our connections. Acknowledge your value and guard it fiercely. Boundaries are not walls, they are the gates that allow only those worthy of your energy to pass through. When we neglect our self-worth, we become susceptible to entanglements that drain rather than nourish us. Consider the ripple effect of your relationships. Just as a single stone cast into a pond sends waves across its surface, so too does our choice of companions impact the larger circles of our lives. A connection that drains us affects not only our own spirit, but ripples out, touching every relationship we hold dear. Let us cultivate connections that uplift, inspire, and encourage growth. Seek out those who resonate with your true self, who mirror back the beauty of your essence. The journey of life is rich and varied, and it is our privilege to share it with those who honor and elevate our being. As we move forward, let us remember the investment of ourselves is a sacred act. Choose wisely, dear friends, whom you give your heart to. For in this delicate balance of connection and separation, we discover the true essence of our being: radiant, free, and wholly alive. As we walk the paths of life, each connection we form feels like a stroke on the canvas of our being. We are, by nature, drawn to one another. There's a magnetic pull, a sense of recognition, as if something within us whispers that life, in all its complexity, is meant to be shared. This recognition, the essence of connection, is fundamental to our journey. Yet, it is also delicate, requiring a depth of understanding and discernment to know which connections are worthy of nurturing and which ones must fade, lest they cast shadows on our inner light. When we connect with another, we engage in an exchange of energy that runs deeper than the words we speak or the actions we take. There's a silent dialogue happening beneath the surface, where our spirits meet in a space untouched by pretense. In this shared space, we reveal parts of ourselves that often remain hidden. Our fears, our dreams, our doubts, our hopes all emerge as we open ourselves to another. And just as we entrust our vulnerabilities to others, we also absorb a part of them, shaping our sense of self through the reflections they cast back at us. However, not all connections are equal. Some resonate with our true nature, lifting us higher, while others can act as weights, binding us to patterns and energies that do not align with who we truly are. The essence of connection is not simply in the act of joining hands, but in the harmony created when two souls meet without resistance. It is a dance of mutual respect and growth, a partnership that seeks to uplift rather than restrain. When we invest in the wrong people, the rhythm falters. The dance becomes exhausting, and rather than blossoming into our true selves, we find ourselves shrinking, contorting, dimming our light to meet the demands or expectations of another. To understand the essence of connection is to recognize that it is not driven by a need to fill an absence within ourselves. True connection arises when we are whole enough to share without expectation. It is a meeting of equals, where both sides give freely, without fear of depletion. When we seek connection out of a desire to complete something within us, we risk pouring our energy into people who cannot reciprocate, who may not value or understand the gift of our presence. Such connections become draining, a one-sided commitment that leaves us feeling empty rather than fulfilled. In the vast sea of humanity, it's easy to feel adrift, searching for that sense of belonging. And in that search, it's tempting to cast aside our own authenticity, molding ourselves to fit into relationships that may not serve us. But when we do this, we lose sight of the essence of true connection. The beauty of human interaction is not in losing ourselves, but in finding companionship that allows us to grow, to expand, and to be more fully who we are. To connect, in essence, means to reveal and be revealed. To honor not only our own journey, but also the journey of another, in a space free from judgment or control. There is a subtle wisdom within us that often knows when a connection is right. It's that feeling of ease, the effortless flow of conversation, the joy that arises simply from being in another's presence. And conversely, there is a discomfort, a heaviness when a connection is wrong. Our intuition senses this discord, often before our minds do. We may ignore it, brushing aside those quiet warnings, but in time, the truth emerges. Investing in the wrong people always comes at a cost. It saps our energy, clouds our vision, and diverts us from paths that would otherwise lead to fulfillment. To honor the essence of connection is to honor ourselves. It is a recognition that we are worthy of relationships that enrich our spirit. It's about holding our energy as sacred and choosing to share it with those who bring harmony to our lives. Life is a beautiful and fleeting journey, and the people we walk beside can either illuminate the path or obscure it. When we choose wisely, we find that our connections become a source of strength, a reservoir of joy, and a reminder of the vast potential within us. But when we choose unwisely, we become entangled in webs that stifle our growth. So let us remember that connection, in its truest essence, is a dance of freedom and authenticity. It is a gentle exchange where each person remains whole, unbound by the need to possess or control. This essence lies not in the quantity of our connections, but in their quality. It's found in those rare moments when we meet someone who sees us fully, without agenda, and who values the gift of our presence as much as we value theirs. To connect is to be vulnerable, to trust, and to open ourselves to the mystery of another. It is a delicate balance, a practice of both giving and receiving, where each person remains rooted in their own being. And when we honor this balance, we find that our connections lift us higher, leading us not away from ourselves, but deeper into the heart of who we truly are. For in the end, the essence of connection is not a destination, it is a journey, one that invites us to walk hand in hand with those who truly resonate with our soul. In every interaction, there's a silent transaction occurring beneath the surface, a movement of energy that passes from one being to another. This exchange, though invisible, is profoundly real. It's an ebb and flow of influence, a transfer of thoughts, emotions, and intentions that subtly shape who we are and how we feel. When we engage with another person, we give a part of ourselves, consciously or not, and in return, we receive part of them. This energy exchange is the heart of all relationships, a force that can either nourish and uplift or drain and diminish. Imagine for a moment that each of us carries an inner reservoir of energy, a wellspring from which we draw to meet the demands of life. When we spend time with people who respect and value our presence, we experience an exchange that's mutual, balanced, and refreshing. We leave these interactions feeling rejuvenated, inspired, and at peace. Our energy well fills, and we are reminded of our own worth. Such connections honor the natural balance of give and take, where both people contribute and receive in equal measure. However, not all exchanges are harmonious. Some people take more than they give, either knowingly or unknowingly. These are the individuals who drain our energy, often leaving us feeling tired, anxious, or emotionally exhausted. When we invest in these people, we may find ourselves depleted, wondering why the connection feels unbalanced, yet unable to pinpoint exactly why. This is the nature of a one-sided energy exchange. It creates an unseen imbalance that gradually erodes our sense of self. Over time, this depletion can affect every aspect of our lives, casting a shadow over our thoughts, clouding our emotions, and diminishing our vitality. To understand energy exchange is to recognize that not everyone is meant to share in the wellspring of our being. Just as we wouldn't give away our life savings to those who do not honor it, so too must we be discerning with our energy. When we give without receiving in return, we chip away at our own reserves, often without realizing it. And the effects ripple outward, affecting our ability to show up fully, not only in that relationship, but in all aspects of our lives. We might feel short-tempered, less creative, less focused, or generally weary, because a part of us has been sapped by the imbalance. In this way, energy exchange is a vital aspect of self-care. It's about valuing our inner resources and understanding that not everyone deserves equal access to them. Just as a plant requires water, sunlight, and nourishment to grow, so too do we need relationships that replenish rather than drain us. The people who uplift us are like sunlight to our spirit, fueling our growth and helping us to flourish. They give freely, and in their presence we feel seen, valued, and respected. These are the relationships worth investing in, the connections that add richness and meaning to our lives. Sometimes we may feel compelled to continue giving to others, even when the exchange is unbalanced, out of a sense of loyalty or obligation. But it's important to recognize that true loyalty begins with loyalty to ourselves. If we continually pour from our well without replenishment, we eventually run dry, and we lose our capacity to give meaningfully. It's not selfish to reserve our energy for those who reciprocate. Rather, it's an act of honoring our own well-being. There are also those who are adept at recognizing the energy of others and, knowingly or not, seek to draw from it to fill a void within themselves. They may not intend to harm, but their constant need for reassurance, validation, or support can weigh heavily on those around them. Being around such individuals can feel like carrying an extra burden, one that slowly saps our energy until we are left feeling depleted. In these instances, boundaries become essential. They allow us to protect our energy without guilt, creating space for ourselves to recharge and retain our inner balance. The art of energy exchange also teaches us to notice how we ourselves interact with others. Are we offering support freely without expecting something in return? Are we aware of the impact we have on others? And are we mindful not to take more than we give? When we approach relationships with this awareness, we naturally cultivate connections that are both fulfilling and sustainable, rooted in mutual respect and consideration. At its core, energy exchange is about harmony. When two people come together with a willingness to contribute equally, a synergy emerges. It's a space where ideas flow effortlessly, where joy is shared, and where the bond itself becomes a source of strength. These exchanges are rare and precious moments where two spirits uplift one another simply by being in each other's presence. And it is in these moments that we find true companionship, a connection that doesn't drain but enriches, that doesn't take but inspires. In honoring energy exchange, we honor ourselves and the people who truly bring value to our lives. It is a gentle reminder that our energy is finite, and where we invest it matters deeply. Let us be mindful of how and where we direct our energy, choosing to invest in connections that resonate with our soul. For in the end, the people we surround ourselves with shape not only our experience, but also our potential. By nurturing balanced, fulfilling exchanges, we create space for a life that is vibrant, meaningful, and whole. Belonging is a powerful force. It's woven deep into the fabric of our humanity, a primal urge that reaches back to our earliest ancestors. We are social creatures, bound by an innate desire to connect, to feel accepted, to be a part of something larger than ourselves. Belonging gives us a sense of identity, a feeling of security, a comfort that we are not alone. But in our quest to belong, we often encounter a subtle yet insidious trap, the illusion of belonging. This illusion arises when we sacrifice our true selves for the sake of fitting in. We mold and shape our identities to align with the expectations, beliefs, and norms of others, hoping that in doing so, we will be accepted and valued. At first, it might feel comforting, as if we found a place where we finally belong, but over time, a quiet discontent begins to grow. We start to feel a disconnect, a sense that something is not quite right. This discontent is the voice of our authentic self, whispering that the belonging we sought is only skin deep. The illusion of belonging often begins innocently. We find ourselves in a group or relationship where certain behaviors, attitudes, or values are expected, and naturally we start to conform. This conformity can be subtle, a change in the way we dress, a slight alteration in the way we speak, or even a shift in our opinions. We tell ourselves these adjustments are harmless, perhaps even necessary, to strengthen our sense of connection. But with each small compromise, we step further away from who we truly are, and we begin to adopt a version of ourselves that is more palatable to others, but less genuine. In chasing this illusion, we become actors in our own lives, wearing masks that are crafted not by our own hands, but by the hands of those we wish to please. We become adept at playing roles, hiding parts of ourselves that we fear others will reject. And as we bury our true essence, we experience a growing sense of emptiness, a hollow feeling that tells us this belonging is based on conditions that do not honor who we truly are. This isn't true connection, it's a form of self-betrayal. The cost of the illusion of belonging is steep. When we pretend to be someone we're not, we betray ourselves, and this betrayal creates a fracture within. We become divided, living between two versions of ourselves, the authentic self that longs for freedom and the constructed self that craves acceptance. The more we invest in this illusion, the harder it becomes to reconcile these two parts, and we find ourselves feeling isolated even in the midst of company. This is the irony of the illusion of belonging. We sacrifice authenticity for connection, yet we end up feeling more alone. One of the reasons this illusion is so powerful is because of our fear of rejection. Deep down, many of us believe that if we were to reveal our true selves, we might lose the very people and places we've come to depend on. This fear keeps us trapped in the roles we've created, clinging to the false comfort of acceptance while neglecting the quiet but profound need for authenticity. We may fear that our uniqueness will set us apart, make us vulnerable, or cause us to be misunderstood. But what we often overlook is that the people who are truly meant for us will embrace our authenticity, not reject it. The illusion of belonging is also fueled by societal expectations. We are often told that we must belong to certain groups to be successful, to be loved, or to be validated. This pressure can lead us down paths that do not resonate with our soul. We may join professions, adopt lifestyles, or enter relationships that look good on the outside but leave us feeling unfulfilled on the inside. And in our effort to maintain these images, we bury the parts of ourselves that don't fit. Yet by doing so, we rob ourselves of the joy that comes from being wholly, unapologetically ourselves. True belonging, in contrast, does not require us to change who we are. It only asks that we reveal ourselves fully. It's a space where we are welcome not for what we can offer or how well we conform, but for the essence of our being. In true belonging, there is no need for masks, no need for roles. It is a meeting of souls that transcends superficial expectations, a connection grounded in respect, honesty, and love. When we experience this kind of belonging, we feel an expansive freedom, a sense of peace that comes from knowing we are valued for exactly who we are. To break free from the illusion of belonging, we must begin by turning inward. We must ask ourselves, what parts of me have I hidden in the pursuit of acceptance? This is a process of uncovering and reclaiming the aspects of ourselves that we may have buried out of fear. It requires courage to confront the masks we wear and the roles we play. But in doing so, we create the possibility for genuine connection. We become open to relationships that are based not on conditions or expectations, but on mutual acceptance. Stepping away from the illusion of belonging is a journey of self-trust. It's about learning to stand alone, if necessary, rather than compromising our essence to blend in. It's about recognizing that true belonging begins within, in the quiet space where we are at peace with ourselves. From this foundation, we can create relationships that are enriching rather than depleting, relationships that allow us to grow rather than constrain us. When we let go of the illusion, we may find that some connections fall away. This can be painful, but it's also liberating. As we shed the relationships that were built on conditions, we make space for those that are rooted in truth. In this way, we find a deeper, more meaningful belonging, not one based on conformity or approval, but one that resonates with the core of who we are. Belonging is not about fitting in, it's about being seen, known, and loved for our true selves. When we embrace this, we free ourselves from the illusion and open the door to a life rich with authentic connections. We realize that we were never meant to twist and contort ourselves to belong, but to find those who appreciate us just as we are. True belonging, in its purest form, is a return to ourselves, a reunion with the essence of our being, where we feel both free and deeply connected. Within each of us lies a quiet, guiding force, a voice that whispers truths we may not always want to hear, but that somehow, on some deeper level, we know are right. This is our intuition, our inner wisdom, and it is one of the most profound gifts we carry. Intuition is not loud or forceful. It does not demand our attention like the chaos of the outside world. Instead, it is subtle, patient, waiting for us to quiet our minds enough to hear its guidance. Unlike logic, which relies on reason and analysis, intuition emerges from a place beyond words. It's a feeling, a sense, an instinct that arises seemingly out of nowhere, yet feels uncannily accurate. Some call it a gut feeling, others refer to it as a hunch. But no matter the name, it points to the same deep, internal compass that has guided humans through the complexities of life for millennia. Intuition doesn't always come with explanations or evidence, but it resonates with an undeniable truth. Listening to our inner wisdom requires us to cultivate stillness. In a world filled with noise, distractions, and endless external input, this can be challenging. Society teaches us to value the rational mind above all else, to seek proof, validation, and evidence before making a choice. Yet intuition operates outside these boundaries. It doesn't conform to the linear logic we've been taught to trust. And because of this, it often goes ignored or even dismissed. We second-guess it, question it, or drown it out with the opinions of others, believing that answers from the outside must be more valid than those from within. But intuition is not irrational. It is simply a form of intelligence that exists outside the realm of reason. It synthesizes everything we know, not just intellectually, but emotionally and experientially. Intuition draws on our accumulated knowledge, our past experiences, our sensory perceptions, and our subconscious insights, combining them in an instant to present us with a truth that bypasses analysis. And though it often defies explanation, its accuracy can be startling. When we learn to trust it, we find that our inner wisdom often guides us toward choices that align with our deepest values and desires. The challenge for most of us is learning to discern the voice of intuition from the voices of fear, doubt, and conditioning. Fear can often masquerade as intuition, urging us to play it safe, avoid risks, or remain in our comfort zones. It may tell us not to pursue certain dreams or not to trust certain people, yet this isn't intuition. It's a protective mechanism rooted in past experiences or anxieties. True intuition, by contrast, is calm. It doesn't create a sense of urgency or panic, rather, it offers quiet clarity and direction. When we learn to recognize this difference, we gain access to a profound source of guidance. Intuition is also deeply connected to authenticity. When we're in touch with our inner wisdom, we're more likely to make choices that reflect who we truly are, rather than who we think we're supposed to be. Intuition guides us toward people, places, and experiences that resonate with our soul, steering us away from situations that are misaligned with our purpose or values. It's as if our inner wisdom knows the way to our most fulfilled, meaningful life and gently nudges us in that direction. But to follow this path, we must first trust it enough to listen. Cultivating a relationship with our inner wisdom requires practice. Meditation, journaling, and quiet reflection are all ways we can begin to tap into this inner reservoir. Spending time in nature, away from the distractions of modern life, can also help us tune into our intuition. The more we practice, the clearer our inner voice becomes, and the more confident we become in following it. We start to notice the sensations in our body that accompany intuition: a warmth, a sense of ease, a feeling of alignment. These are the signals that our inner wisdom is speaking to us. Intuition is not only about making decisions, it's about understanding ourselves at a profound level. When we are guided by our inner wisdom, we are in alignment with our true selves. We recognize what brings us joy, what drains our energy, what resonates with our values, and what feels out of place. Intuition becomes a tool for self-discovery, revealing our hidden desires, our needs, and our passions. It's a compass pointing us back to ourselves, a reminder that all the answers we seek are already within us. The more we learn to trust our intuition, the stronger it grows. It's like a muscle that gets more robust with use. Over time, we become less reliant on external validation and more anchored in our own inner knowing. We become less swayed by the opinions of others, less fearful of making mistakes, because we know that our inner wisdom will always guide us back to the right path. We start to live in a state of flow, where decisions come naturally without force or struggle. Trusting intuition, however, does not mean ignoring logic or dismissing reason. Rather, it's about balancing both aspects of ourselves, honoring the rational mind while also giving space to the intuitive heart. When these two forces work in harmony, we become whole. We are able to navigate life with both clarity and depth, making choices that are both wise and aligned with our true selves. In a sense, intuition is our truest guide, a voice that is never swayed by the external world. It is as if, within us, there exists a timeless wisdom that knows our unique path, our potential, our purpose. And though it may sometimes lead us down unfamiliar or challenging roads, it is always leading us toward our most authentic self. Listening to this voice means trusting that we already have within us everything we need to navigate life's complexities. So let us honor our intuition and inner wisdom, giving it the attention it deserves. Let us create space in our lives to hear its quiet whispers, to feel its gentle nudges, and to recognize its truth. For when we do, we connect to a part of ourselves that is beyond the noise, beyond the chaos, a part that is whole, wise, and unshakably true. And in that connection, we find not only guidance, but a profound sense of peace, a knowing that we are on the right path, a path that is ours alone to walk. Change is woven into the fabric of existence, a constant force that touches every aspect of life. Whether we welcome it or resist it, change moves through our lives like the rhythm of the seasons, inevitable, unpredictable, and often beyond our control. It is the nature of life itself to evolve, to transform, to shed the old and make space for the new. Yet while change is an essential part of our journey, it can also be unsettling, stirring within us feelings of uncertainty and resistance. We are often drawn to stability, to the comfort of the known, and the idea of change can feel like a threat to our sense of security. At its core, change is neither good nor bad, it simply is. It is a process that unfolds naturally, a movement from one state of being to another. Like the flow of a river, it may take unexpected turns, encounter obstacles, or slow to a trickle, but it is always moving forward. And just as a river does not question its path, change does not ask for our approval or our understanding. It simply invites us to flow with it, to embrace its movement, even when we cannot see where it will lead. One of the most challenging aspects of change is the discomfort it brings. Change often demands that we let go of what is familiar, that we release attachments to people, places, or parts of ourselves that no longer serve us. This process of letting go can feel like a loss, as if we are shedding pieces of our identity. Yet this shedding is a vital part of growth. Just as a snake must shed its skin to allow for new growth, we too must release old habits, beliefs, and patterns that keep us stagnant. In doing so, we create space for something new to emerge, for a part of us to expand and evolve. There is also a quiet wisdom in change, a lesson it offers to those who are willing to listen. Change teaches us about impermanence, the understanding that nothing in life is fixed or static. Every experience, every emotion, every relationship is in a state of flux, a reminder that life is a series of beginnings and endings. When we embrace this truth, we begin to see change not as a disruption, but as an essential part of the cycle of life. We learn to let go of our attachment to permanence, realizing that beauty and meaning often lie in the fleeting nature of things. To resist change is to resist life itself. When we cling to the past or try to hold on to a particular version of ourselves, we become rigid, unwilling to grow. This resistance can create suffering, a sense of being stuck or out of alignment with the natural flow of life. But when we learn to move with change, to accept its presence as a constant companion, we open ourselves to new possibilities. We become adaptable, resilient, able to face whatever life brings with grace and equanimity. Change also brings transformation, a deeper shift that goes beyond the surface. It is through change that we discover parts of ourselves we never knew existed, strengths we didn't realize we possessed, and dreams we hadn't yet imagined. Each change, whether welcomed or feared, has the potential to awaken something within us, to reveal a new layer of our being. In this way, change is an invitation to grow not only outwardly but inwardly, to explore the depths of who we are. It's natural to feel fear in the face of change. Our minds crave certainty, a sense of control, and change often disrupts this sense of order. But in truth, life is not meant to be controlled, it is meant to be experienced. When we accept that we cannot always predict or direct the course of change, we begin to cultivate trust not only in life but in ourselves. We trust that we have the strength to navigate whatever comes, that we can adapt and thrive even in unfamiliar territory. This trust becomes a foundation, a source of stability that comes not from the outside world but from within. In moments of profound change, it can be helpful to remember that change is cyclical, like the turning of the seasons. There are times of growth, times of shedding, times of stillness, and times of renewal. Each phase serves a purpose, contributing to the greater tapestry of our lives. Winter may feel cold and barren, but it paves the way for the rebirth of spring. Similarly, times of uncertainty or loss can lead to new beginnings, new insights, and unexpected opportunities. Embracing the cyclical nature of change allows us to move through life with greater ease, understanding that each phase, no matter how challenging, is temporary and part of a larger rhythm. Ultimately, change calls us to be present, to engage fully with the moment, rather than becoming lost in the past or anxious about the future. When we meet change with presence, we become participants in the unfolding of our lives, rather than passive observers. We begin to see change not as something that happens to us, but as a dance we are part of, a co-creation between ourselves and the ever-shifting forces of life. The nature of change, then, is a paradox. It is both constant and unpredictable, gentle and disruptive, challenging and transformative. It asks us to let go, yet it also offers us something in return: the opportunity to grow, to evolve, to become more fully ourselves. In this way, change is not an enemy to be feared, but a guide leading us closer to our truth, to the essence of who we are. When we learn to embrace the nature of change, we find a profound sense of freedom. We no longer need life to be a certain way to feel at peace. We can move with life's twists and turns, finding stability not in the external world, but in our own openness to experience. This is the gift of change. It shows us that we are not defined by any single moment or circumstance, but by our willingness to grow, to adapt, and to keep moving forward. In honoring change, we honor the journey of life itself, a journey that is ever evolving, ever unfolding, and infinitely rich with possibility. Self-worth is the foundation upon which we build our lives. It is an inner sense of value that arises not from external achievements or validations, but from a deep recognition of our inherent worth as human beings. When we understand our self-worth, we hold ourselves with respect and compassion, knowing that we are deserving of kindness, respect, and love. This understanding becomes our anchor, a guiding light that influences how we allow ourselves to be treated and what we accept into our lives. Self-worth shapes our relationships, our choices, and ultimately our sense of fulfillment. And a crucial component of self-worth is the ability to set and honor boundaries. Boundaries are the lines we draw around ourselves to protect our well-being, our time, our energy, and our values. They are a declaration of where we end and where others begin, an assertion of our right to personal space and respect. Boundaries are not about building walls. They are about defining what is acceptable and what is not, about creating a safe space in which we can thrive. When we have a strong sense of self-worth, we recognize that we have the right to set boundaries, that our needs and feelings are valid, and that honoring them is not selfish but necessary for our well-being. Often, people struggle with boundaries because they fear rejection or judgment. They worry that saying no or standing up for themselves will make them seem difficult or unkind. But true boundaries are rooted in self-respect, not in pushing others away. Setting a boundary is not about rejecting someone else, it's about honoring yourself. When we say no to something that doesn't align with our needs or values, we are saying yes to ourselves. This act of self-respect strengthens our self-worth, reinforcing the message that we are worthy of being treated with dignity and respect. Boundaries also protect our energy, allowing us to engage fully in the relationships, activities, and goals that truly matter to us. Without boundaries, we may find ourselves overextended, drained, or resentful. We give too much of ourselves to others, neglecting our own needs in the process. But when we honor our boundaries, we conserve our energy and create space for what truly nourishes us. We can engage with others from a place of generosity rather than obligation, knowing that our giving is authentic and not depleting. A healthy sense of self-worth helps us recognize when a boundary is being crossed and gives us the confidence to address it. When we feel unworthy or insecure, we may allow others to treat us in ways that do not honor our dignity. We may tolerate disrespect, overlook hurtful behavior, or accept less than we deserve simply because we fear we are not worthy of better treatment. But when we know our value, we become less willing to compromise our well-being for the sake of others' approval. We understand that respecting ourselves sometimes means making difficult choices, setting firm limits, and walking away from relationships or situations that do not align with our sense of worth. Boundaries are also essential in fostering authentic connections with others. When we are clear about our needs and communicate them openly, we invite others to understand us and respect our limits. This clarity allows for more honest, respectful interactions as others know where they stand and what to expect. Boundaries create a foundation of mutual respect in relationships where both parties feel valued and understood. When we lack boundaries, we may find ourselves in imbalanced or one-sided relationships where our needs are overlooked. By setting boundaries, we create space for relationships that are based on reciprocity and respect. Self-worth and boundaries go hand in hand. The more we cultivate a sense of self-worth, the more we feel empowered to set boundaries. And the more we set boundaries, the stronger our self-worth becomes. It's a positive cycle that allows us to live with integrity and alignment. We begin to prioritize our well-being without guilt, understanding that self-care is not an act of selfishness, but a vital part of a healthy, balanced life. Setting boundaries becomes an expression of our self-worth, a way of saying, I am worthy of peace, respect, and well-being. Learning to set boundaries is not always easy, especially if we have been conditioned to put others' needs before our own, or if we've been taught that our worth depends on pleasing others. It takes practice, courage, and self-compassion to begin to honor our boundaries consistently. We may feel discomfort or guilt at first, but over time we come to see that boundaries are a form of self-love. By setting boundaries, we protect our emotional and mental health, allowing ourselves to live authentically and with a sense of inner peace. Another crucial aspect of boundaries is the understanding that they are dynamic and flexible. Boundaries may change over time as we grow, as our needs shift, and as our understanding of ourselves deepens. The boundaries we set today may need to be re-evaluated in the future, and that's okay. Setting boundaries is an ongoing practice, a way of checking in with ourselves and honoring who we are in each moment. It's about staying in tune with our feelings, recognizing when something feels misaligned, and having the courage to adjust our boundaries accordingly. Boundaries are also an opportunity for self-reflection. When we feel uncomfortable or resentful, it can often be a sign that a boundary is needed. These emotions are signals from our inner self, urging us to pay attention and take action. By listening to these feelings, we gain insight into our needs and values, allowing us to set boundaries that are rooted in self-awareness. This process of tuning in, setting boundaries, and honoring our self-worth becomes a powerful way to nurture ourselves, to honor our inner truth, and to live in alignment with our values. Self-worth and boundaries are about self-respect and self-empowerment. They remind us that we are worthy of care, respect, and consideration, not only from others, but from ourselves. They give us the courage to stand up for what we need and to create a life that reflects our true essence. When we honor our self-worth and set boundaries with clarity and compassion, we create a life that is fulfilling, balanced, and deeply aligned with our highest self. We live not in reaction to others, but in harmony with ourselves, free to give and receive love, respect, and kindness in a way that nourishes us and honors our true worth. Every action we take, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant, sends out ripples that move far beyond us. It's as if our words, gestures, and choices are like stones cast into a still pond, creating waves that extend outward, touching lives we may never see. The ripple effect is a powerful reminder of our interconnectedness and of the profound influence each of us has on the world around us. At the heart of the ripple effect is the idea that every action creates consequences, not just for ourselves, but for others. A simple act of kindness, for instance, can brighten someone's day, which may in turn inspire them to treat others with kindness, creating a chain reaction that moves through families, communities, and beyond. Likewise, a thoughtless word or action can spread negativity, affecting not only the person directly involved, but also those they interact with. This interconnected flow of influence means that we are constantly shaping and being shaped by those around us, often in ways we may never realize. The ripple effect is not just about big gestures or grand acts, it's often the small, everyday actions that carry the greatest impact. A smile, a helping hand, a word of encouragement. These small actions may seem trivial, but they can leave lasting impressions. When we treat others with respect and kindness, we create a ripple of positivity that extends far beyond the immediate moment. This awareness encourages us to be mindful of how we move through the world, to consider the impact of our choices and interactions, and to recognize that we have the power to influence the lives of others in meaningful ways. One of the most beautiful aspects of the ripple effect is that it operates without our control. We may never see the full extent of our actions, but that does not lessen their impact. Often, the most significant ripples are the ones we don't witness: an encouraging word that gives someone the courage to pursue their dreams, a compassionate gesture that offers comfort during a difficult time, or an act of generosity that inspires others to give. In these moments, we become part of a larger flow, contributing to something greater than ourselves. We are reminded that our lives are not isolated. They are woven into the lives of others in ways we may never fully understand. The ripple effect also teaches us about the power of intention. When we approach life with the intention to be compassionate, understanding, and kind, we naturally create ripples that reflect these qualities. Our intentions shape our actions, and our actions shape the world around us. This is why self-awareness and inner peace are so important. The state of our inner world influences the ripples we send out. When we cultivate kindness and peace within ourselves, we are better able to share these qualities with others, creating positive ripples that contribute to a more compassionate world. But the ripple effect is not limited to positive actions, it encompasses all that we do. When we act out of anger, fear, or resentment, we create ripples of discord and tension. These negative ripples can spread just as easily as positive ones, affecting the people we encounter and ultimately the larger community. This is why it's so essential to be mindful of our energy and our intentions. By choosing to act from a place of understanding and empathy, we reduce the negative ripples we send into the world, promoting harmony rather than conflict. In moments of doubt or discouragement, it can be helpful to remember that the ripple effect extends to us as well. Just as we influence others, we are also influenced by the ripples around us. The kindness of others, the support of friends, the beauty of nature, all these things create ripples that touch our lives, offering inspiration, comfort, and guidance. Recognizing this interconnected flow can bring a sense of gratitude and a deeper appreciation for the small acts of goodness that brighten our days. It also reminds us that we are never truly alone. We are part of a vast network of energy, all connected and all influencing one another. The ripple effect reminds us that we each have the power to make a difference, no matter how small our actions may seem. In a world that can sometimes feel overwhelming, where the problems we face seem too big for any one person to solve, the ripple effect offers a sense of hope and empowerment. It shows us that even the smallest actions matter, that we can contribute to positive change in ways that may seem insignificant but are in fact profound. Imagine a world where everyone understood the power of the ripple effect, where each person acted with the awareness that their choices have the potential to influence countless lives. Such a world would be filled with compassion, empathy, and understanding. By embracing the ripple effect, we contribute to creating this world, one action at a time. We become conscious participants in a collective journey, recognizing that our individual actions contribute to the greater whole. Ultimately, the ripple effect is a reminder of the profound responsibility we carry in how we choose to live and interact with others. It's an invitation to move through life with mindfulness and intention, to see ourselves as part of a larger tapestry of human experience. Each of us is a thread in this tapestry, and the ripples we create blend with those of others, forming the fabric of our collective lives. In honoring the ripple effect, we honor our own potential to be a force for good. We remember that we are not insignificant, that our choices matter, and that the world around us is shaped in part by the energy we bring to it. The ripples we create have the power to inspire, to heal, and to uplift. They remind us that we are all connected and that our actions, however small, can contribute to a brighter, more compassionate world. Cultivating meaningful connections is about seeking depth, authenticity, and resonance in our relationships. In a world often preoccupied with superficial interactions and fleeting exchanges, creating bonds that are genuine and lasting becomes both a choice and a commitment. Meaningful connections are built on the foundations of trust, empathy, and open-hearted communication. When we connect meaningfully with others, we are not just interacting on the surface, but rather engaging with the essence of who they are. This requires presence, the willingness to truly listen, to hold space for the other person, and to understand them beyond words. Meaningful connections ask that we be vulnerable and willing to share our own truths, our fears, dreams, and experiences in an environment of mutual respect and openness. They invite us to see others with compassion, free from judgment or preconceived notions, embracing each individual as they are. By cultivating such relationships, we allow others to feel safe, valued, and understood, and we, in turn, experience a profound sense of belonging. These connections have a unique power to nourish our inner lives, offering us support and grounding through life's challenges, as well as joy and shared celebration in times of triumph. Creating meaningful connections also involves discernment, choosing to invest in relationships that uplift and nurture our well-being, rather than draining or diminishing us. This means honoring boundaries and recognizing when a connection serves our growth and when it does not. Meaningful connections thrive when they are reciprocal, with both individuals contributing equally to the bond. When we surround ourselves with people who respect our boundaries, values, and aspirations, we build a network of relationships that reinforce our sense of purpose and integrity. In nurturing meaningful connections, we also come to understand the interconnectedness of all people. We realize that each interaction, no matter how small, holds the potential for impact, and that our kindness, compassion, and understanding can ripple outward, touching lives in ways we may never fully see. By approaching relationships with this mindfulness and intention, we create a world where connection is not just about proximity or convenience, but about shared growth, mutual support, and genuine companionship. Cultivating meaningful connections, then, becomes a practice of love, not only for others, but also for ourselves, as we come to know and express the best of who we are through the bonds we create. In the end, the quality of our lives is deeply intertwined with the quality of our connections. When we choose to invest in relationships that are rooted in respect, authenticity, and shared growth, we create a foundation of trust and fulfillment that supports us through all of life's twists and turns. Cultivating meaningful connections requires vulnerability, presence, and discernment, but the rewards are profound: a true sense of belonging, a network of support, and the quiet, enduring joy of being seen and valued for who we truly are. These relationships are the bedrock of a fulfilling life, reminding us that while we may walk our own paths, we are never alone. Through every meaningful connection, we have the opportunity to be a force of compassion and positivity, contributing to a world that is more connected, more understanding, and more alive with the energy of true companionship. Let us then embrace the power of connection, knowing that every choice we make in our relationships creates ripples, both within us and far beyond.